Today I want to talk to you about the difference between the mindset when it comes to expectations of winning versus being okay with okay. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of #winning. Right now, as I'm shooting this, the Copa America is happening, as well as the Euro, which is the two big soccer tournaments outside the World Cup. And I want to share a quick little story with you about the difference in the mindset of the Canadian culture versus the American culture and how it pertains to sports performance and standards in general. So just a bit of background. So the US hosted the World Cup in 1994, and that was a really big catalyst for improving soccer in the United States because there's a lot more visibility, a lot more money came into the country for that, and obviously a lot more people, took it seriously. Canada, obviously me growing up in Canada, growing up playing soccer here was a little bit of a joke compared to playing in the States. It wasn't taken as seriously. Most university programs were 3 months, not even full years. Most club teams had coaches who were simply volunteer parents. It wasn't taken that seriously. Things have changed dramatically, I'd say, in the last 10 to 15 years in Canada, and they've continued to progress in the US as well. So Canada has always been the participation ribbon country. Like, you go to the Olympics, we're happy with fourth. We get the most bronze medals, all that kind of stuff. And the States has always been about winning, gold medal, first place, etc. And I love that. I really, really do, because this series is called #winning, not #participating. And it's also the fundamental reason why I have a very big problem with kids sports where there's no standings, where there's, everyone gets a medal. It's like, no, your team sucks. They lost 10-0. They finished last in the league. If there were standings, but there's not, why are they getting medals? Why are they getting ribbons? Okay. And it's not about making kids feel bad. It's about helping them understand the reality of life. Is that most teams are not going to win, period. Okay, so let's just get on with the game. So anyways, right now, what happened with Canada, they made the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. First time in last time was 1986. And for them, they finished first in qualifying, which was a really cool kind of belief-shattering experience. They scored the most goals out of any team, but to be honest, they played garbage teams, whatever. So they go to the World Cup and they lost all 3 games, and they didn't score they scored one goal and they lost all 3 games. So the interesting thing about this was it's their first World Cup, at least in the past 40 years. And they get there and there's this sense that was good enough. Like, just being there was enough. And that's okay, because that's what happens sometimes when you hit your first milestone. Like, just being there is good enough. And I think a lot of us go through that, whether it's a first milestone in business or, whatever it might be. Meanwhile, the States, they have very different objectives for the World Cup because they've been there several times, right? So for instance, in Qatar, the US would not have been okay with just being there. They set objectives of getting out of the group stage, hitting the quarterfinals. Like, their standards were higher based on the fact that they've been through the journey longer, and perhaps just their general mindset as a nation compared to Canada. So anyways, right now in the Copa America, the United States finished third in their group, and they did not get out of the group, and they didn't have the best showing, although I thought they played a very good game against Uruguay, and they lost in the last game of the round, and that basically kicked them out of the tournament. What's interesting is the conversation amongst the pundits and like the reporters and the media is so different than in Canada. So for instance, in the States, it's like an absolute disaster. It's a calamity. There's no way this is, like, how is this even feasible for US soccer? How is this even possible that they're not at the quarterfinals or semifinals? This is not even in the realm of possibility. Okay. Versus Canada, we actually finished second in the group behind Argentina. So first game they played in the Copa America was against Argentina, the World Cup champions, best team in the world, arguably for the past 4 or 5 years. And we played an amazing game. Okay, we lost 2-0, and I think it honestly could have been more, it could have been less. Canada probably could have even won the match. They had a lot of chances. What that game, I think, gave the Canadians was a sense of belief. Like, guys, we just played the best team, and we literally outplayed them for a good part of it. And it's like, hey, we can hang with these guys. The next game, they tied 0-0 against Peru, which was a bit of a shit show of a game. And then they had to tie or win against Chile to move through, and they tied 0-0. So what's interesting in the commentary around the Canadian performances was there's almost like this we're moving in the right direction, right? But there's a small segment of the commentary which is, it's still not good enough, right? We didn't score a goal. I mean, other than one goal against Peru, we were up one man against Peru because they had a red card, one man up against Chile because they had a red card, and we didn't score against Chile. We had chances, we didn't put them in. And so part of the commentary has been like, hey, great job for Canada, they got out of the group. And then there's this other conversation happening, which is like, guys, this is not good enough. Like, this team has to be producing better results. And this is the thing that I want to really instill in you, is starting to adopt more of the mindset of you get what you expect. See, if Canada comes into a tournament and they expect to just show up and play well and kind of hold their own, that's what they'll get. But if you go into a tournament and expect to win it, that's a very different confidence and energy that you show up to these games with. Now, with expectations, sometimes there's a lot of pressure and, everyone responds differently to that. But there's like, if you look at Argentina, for instance, they won the last World Cup, they won the last Copa America, they're entering this tournament, and I promise you, there's no conversation around, let's just get out of the group. The conversation is, let's win the whole thing. And that's the bar. With Canada now, they have a new coach. And the new coach, I think, is phenomenal. His name is Jesse Marsh. He's an American coaching Canada, which is actually really interesting because what he's brought to this team is a new belief system, a new way of looking at how to play high press, very attacking, very, forward thinking. But even he, after every game in the Copa America, he said, like, listen, the guys are happy, but they're not satisfied. And I love that. I've talked about that a lot. It's like, be happy, but not satisfied. It's never enough. Because the thing is, like, it's not about not being happy and grateful. It's about understanding that it's never enough. Because how can you ever hit a plateau and say, like, we're good? There's always areas for improvement. And so he said, listen, like, if I'm being honest, like, our objective, we believed we could get out of the group stage. And now they're in the quarterfinals against Venezuela, which is, arguably a winnable match. I'm not saying Venezuela is not a good team, but this is an opportunity for Canada to really step into this next level of belief to say, what can we do here, guys? Like, we could potentially be in the semifinals of Copa America if we win this match. And it's now raising the standards of what's possible and believing that it's possible. So I'm going to stop talking about soccer, but I'm using that as an example for how this shows up in life. Because in business, you get what you expect. If you don't believe you're worth something, you're not going to get it. Like, I remember for the longest time, I'm like, man, if we can just hit $1 million months, it would be amazing. And now it's like, I would never, like, going anything beneath that there's no way, right? And it's just like these new levels and these new milestones that you set for yourself. And as you move through them, you kind of unlock these new belief systems. And one of the things that, like, our clients celebrate a lot inside of our community is hitting specific, what we call status levels, right? So we've got very much like airlines has a frequent flyer program, right? Like, you hit different status levels, we have the same thing. So if someone they enroll their first client, they're called a cadet. If they hit the 10K month, it's an ace, captain, so forth. And so when they celebrate that, usually my response is, great job, you're doing amazing, what's next? Because I'm always challenging them to go to the next level, because what's very easy to do is to say, I hit my 10K month, I hit my 25K month, now I'm going to coast. And I'm like, no. Like, why are we not, like, let's get to the next level. And when do we think we can get there by? And this is part of what I love to do as a coach, is just like this gentle push, like my hands are on your back and just gently pushing you forward. Because I think that's what great coaches do, is they help us get more out of ourselves than we ever would on our own. And there's a certain aspect of pressure. There's a certain aspect of, like, it's not overwhelming pressure. It's to say, hey, great job. And let's go for more. Great job, but we're not satisfied. And part of this is just like the evolution of us as humans is like just to constantly grow and get better. It's not about the money. It's not about chasing new things. It's about, okay, if I hit a 25K month, cool. The money is just like the score in a soccer game, right? We tied 0-0, we won 1-0. It is what it is, right? We, won the quarterfinal game. Now we're in the semifinals. Like, it's just a scoreboard. It's not about like, oh, you're so greedy because you want to get to the semifinals. No, you're not greedy because you want to make more money. It has nothing to do with that. It's, you hit a 25K month. How do I have to grow to hit 50K months? What do I have to get better at? How do I have to improve, just like in a soccer game, right? How do we have to improve our attacking tactical structure? How do we do a better job at connecting passes? How do we do a better job at pressing the team? It's the little things that, whether it's in sport or in business, are very synonymous. We had one of our clients sharing that she just hit her ACE status, so 10K a month. And she was sharing the two things that made all the difference were improving and basically writing new ads on a daily basis. So improving her messaging and working on her selling skills. And then I responded to her and I said, hey, Brooke, amazing job. And this is true all the time. These are the two things. You just work on your craft. You just write more. You communicate more with your audience. You get better at articulating your truth and your message. And you get better at having conversations with prospects on the phone. Those are the only two things in a coaching business that are going to move the needle in a significant way on the acquisition side. So we just do more of that. So how do we get from 25 to 50? We keep refining that process. How do we go from 50 to 100? Well, at that point, there's kind of new levels, new devils, but the process is the process. And that's what I want to share with you is that winners have this mentality that it's never enough. And not from an unhealthy place, but because they're obsessed with growth. And you listen to this, you watch this because I'm assuming you're very similar. And I want you to always have this belief that where you are now is a fraction of where you'll be in the future. And I can tell you this from my experience, guys. Like 15 years ago, the vision I had for my business and life, I wouldn't get out of bed for anymore. And so I understand right now where you are is where you are. And I'm not expecting you to just overnight jump to, 10 years in the future. But what I can share with you is that if you expect yourself to be there, you will get there because you will build the belief system internally that that is what you're here to do versus someone who is just okay with being okay. Okay. And I think the most important determinant of your success is your desire to be where you want to be because that desire fuels everything. And that desire, with that comes this sense of belief and a sense of entitlement. I'm going to use this very, very carefully. A sense of entitlement that this is your birthright, okay? You are here on this planet to create a tremendous amount of good for other people, including yourself, and enjoy a lot of abundance. It's your birthright to scale and grow as much as you want. So when I use entitlement, that's all I'm referring to. I'm not saying, well, because you're a smart cat, you should have all these clients. No one cares about that. You got to earn your stripes, right? You got to plow the field. You got to put in the work. But when you believe that you are deserving of big things, those things will come into your life, partly energetically, but second, because you will put in the work to move in that direction. But if you don't believe you're worthy of that stuff, if you're the Canadian team back in the day that were just like, well, it's good enough just to be here, you're not going to win. Versus if you're the American team that's like, we're only going to win, and that's the only standard, that's how you're going to show up. Because that's what you expect of yourself. That's what you believe to be true and deserving for you. So I just wanted to share that with you because obviously I've been just devouring a lot of soccer the past couple of weeks. And as you know, there's so many parallels between business and sport. I hope this message resonates with you. If you like it, let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, hit subscribe so you don't miss any other videos I've got coming your way to help you grow a successful coaching business online. A lot of health experts have a broke mindset. And today I want to talk about money with you. Because if you're a health professional doing epic work in this world and helping people transform their health, which I'm sure you're doing, you deserve to be wealthy.